As I delved into the pile of old photos, intending to send them to a local lab for digitization, inspiration struck. I stumbled upon the perfect gift idea for my wife, our 3 children, and our extended family as we approached our 25th wedding anniversary. Our collection spanned from childhood, capturing moments from when we first crossed paths in grade school, followed by our high school romance, college adventures, and into our married life. Despite the assumption that childhood photos would still reside with our respective parents, Joyce had requested them when our children were young, consolidating our memories into these packed photo boxes I was currently immersed in. My brain raced with excitement as I pondered the possibilities. Digitizing these photos would not only preserve our precious memories, but also provide a vast array of images for a continuous slideshow during our anniversary celebration. With all 3 kids living locally, they could assist in selecting the photos, making it a delightful surprise for Joyce. Although I had postponed the daunting task of digitizing our photos for far too long, realizing it was a responsibility I needed to shoulder alone, Joyce had been occupied with the myriad duties of parenthood, homemaking, and managing her business's finances. Allow me to introduce myself before I delve too deeply into my musings. I'm Nick Torres, a 47-year-old who shares the same age as my beloved wife, Joyce. As mentioned earlier, we've been inseparable since childhood, navigating school together and transitioning into adulthood and married life side by side. We're that couple, the envy of many, a pair who exudes long-term love, sweetness, and affection, often seen together at gatherings, rarely seen apart, and always present at our children's events. Yes, we're that couple, the ones you find in every social circle. Now, Joyce may not fit the stereotype of a drop-dead gorgeous woman, but she's beautiful in her own right. Though she's maintained her slender frame, the journey of motherhood has left its mark, adding a few extra pounds. Our walks together, a habit she lovingly courses me into, helps stave off any weight gain on my part. Joyce's deep brown hair cascades in collar-length curls that frame her face perfectly. While her features may be considered plain by some, her complexion remains clear and smooth, with only a hint of wrinkles around her eyes, a testament to her timeless beauty. Despite her dismay at the occasional sighting of a gray hair, she adamantly refuses to cover them up with dye. As for her physical attributes, well, I'm not in the habit of scrutinizing the size of her undergarments, but I can attest to the fact that her breasts are a comfortable handful. She claims they've started to sag a bit, a consequence of motherhood and gravity's persistent pull. Her waist has naturally thickened over the years from bearing and nurturing our 3 children, and her hips have widened from the demands of childbirth. Yet each curve tells a story of love, growth, and the joys of family life. Joyce's hips have also widened slightly over time, a fact that occasionally weighs on her mind. Like many husbands, I often find myself in the familiar scenario of fielding questions about whether her choice of attire accentuates her rear. It's a delicate dance, trying to offer reassurance without causing any offense. My solution? I drop to my knees behind her, planting kisses on that beloved rear of hers, whether she's clad in dress slacks or nothing at all. Sometimes I'm treated to the delightful absence of underwear, allowing me to revel in the opportunity to lavish attention on what I consider to be a magnificent asset. Knowing she's adored tends to dispel any wardrobe-related worries she might have. Standing at a perfect 5.5 feet, Joyce is just the right height for me, given my own stature of 5'10". When she slips into her 3-inch heels for our formal date nights, we become the epitome of proportion. With her head resting just below mine, we move comfortably together on the dance floor, a rhythm honed over years of shared experiences. Reflecting on our college days, memories flowed back of me immersed in computer design and systems analysis classes while Joyce pursued her accounting degree. Despite our exclusivity, we adhered to a conservative lifestyle, dictated partly by parental expectations and partly by financial considerations. Cohabitation was off limits if we wanted to maintain harmony with our families and secure their support for our college expenses. I resided in the dormitory during my freshman year per college regulations, then shared an apartment with 2 roommates for the remainder of my college tenure. Meanwhile, Joyce opted for dorm life, leveraging her role as a resident assistant to have her housing costs covered by the college. In our junior and senior years of college, Joyce approached me with a request to explore social outings with a mix of friends, both male and female. Despite our long-standing exclusivity since middle school, I reluctantly agreed, understanding her desire for broader socialization. While I harbored concerns about potential temptations in such settings, I chose not to voice them, trusting in the strength of our relationship and hoping she would simply enjoy herself. During these brief sabbaticals, Joyce would distance herself slightly, but our connection remained intact upon her return, and we seamlessly resumed our routine. Did I entertain thoughts of dating others in her absence? Surprisingly, no. Instead, I doubled down on my studies, driven by personal goals, including achieving a high GPA. Returning to the present, my mind wandered through a myriad of emotions, joyful, contemplative, and even somber, as I reflected on our journey together. I envisioned defying the odds, celebrating not only our upcoming silver anniversary, but also future milestones, perhaps even reaching our golden and diamond anniversaries, by the grace of God. I imagined us growing old together, perhaps in a care facility, yet still lucid enough to appreciate the significance of our enduring bond. However, amidst these musings, a startling discovery halted my reverie: a small photo box tucked away behind the others. Opening it revealed a collection of Polaroids, a puzzling revelation considering we had never owned a Polaroid instant camera. The cost of each snapshot had been prohibitive during our early years together, when finances were tight and digital photography had yet to revolutionize the process. As I sifted through the square shots, my heart sank, puzzled by the origin of these mysterious photographs. After some time, I set the photos aside and attempted to sift through the remaining stack. Eventually, I packed them all away and turned to our cloud storage account. In the era of smartphones, the majority of our photo collection now resided in the digital realm, stored on a shared cloud account. Despite having access to these images on our phones, I suspected Joyce had never delved into the cloud account to explore them further. Among the digital trove were photos received via text message, some of which stirred up poignant emotions within me. Fast forward 6 months. With just 3 weeks remaining until our silver anniversary celebration, all the arrangements had been finalized. The continuous slideshow, set to progress every 15 seconds, was complete, accompanied by soft piano music, a nod to Joyce's fondness for the instrument despite her lack of playing skills. Initially, I had intended to surprise Joyce with the finished presentation during the celebration, keeping it hidden even from the kids. However, realizing the length of the slideshow and the distractions of a gathering with over 100 family and friends, I decided Joyce should preview it beforehand. Amidst her busy schedule with the accounting firm, I managed to secure a slot in Joyce's calendar. Finally, the evening arrived, and she pledged to watch the slideshow in its entirety, uninterrupted. She even went so far as to power off her phone, fully committing to the experience. Our expansive plasma TV served as the canvas for our memories, each one rendered in stunning 4K clarity. I rearranged our furniture, positioning our individual chairs aside and bringing the love seat to the forefront, ensuring we sat close together as our lives unfolded on the screen. It had been a while since we'd been this physically close, and while it felt comforting to me, I couldn't gauge Joyce's reaction. Initially, she maintained a distance, refraining from any physical contact, but that changed as the slideshow progressed. The title slide read, "Remember When." We embarked on our journey down memory lane with "Remember When" we were kids together. Each slide depicted either Joyce or me individually, then us together during our grade school years. Growing up as next-door neighbors, we shared countless memories from our earliest days. One particular image captured Joyce planting a kiss on my cheek while I pulled a comically disgusted face, a relic from the age when girls supposedly had cooties, and I wanted nothing to do with them. Joyce's smile widened as she giggled at the snapshots of our youthful adventures. "Oh, Nick, I'd forgotten some of these photos even existed. This is going to be a treat." A few more slides chronicling our slightly older selves in middle school marked the end of that section. And thus, we transitioned to "Remember When." We were in middle school together. The slideshow continued to unveil snapshots of our adolescence, capturing pivotal moments like our first boy/girl dance at school, where Joyce donned a lovely dress and I clumsily sported my first tie. Memories of our confirmation ceremony at the local church were immortalized with group photos, showcasing our class of about 10. Sports played a significant role in our high school years, with images from soccer, football, and volleyball games illustrating our journey, despite neither of us being regular starters. A particularly endearing picture depicted our first official date, chauffeured to the movies by my dad and escorted home by hers. In the second photo, Joyce planted a kiss on my cheek once again, but this time, my grin spoke volumes. Girls definitely didn't have cooties anymore. As the presentation unfolded, Joyce surprised me by reaching for my hand, a gesture we hadn't shared in over a year. Despite my internal struggle, I allowed her touch, feeling a rush of emotions as she smiled at me before returning her focus to the screen. Next came the anticipated segment, Remember When? We were in high school. The collection expanded, chronicling our journey from nervous freshmen to confident seniors. Solo portraits, couple shots, and group pictures documented our milestones, from pizza parties at youth fellowship to birthday celebrations, bowling nights, and my first car. Dances, dates, junior prom, homecoming, and finally, senior prom, all captured in vivid detail. Unbeknownst to my parents, one photo captured me grinning mischievously, hinting at a secret I held close. The slideshow seamlessly transitioned into the next segment, appropriately titled Remember When? We Went to College. It commenced with snapshots taken by our parents, capturing us eagerly waiting in line to register for classes, followed by glimpses of our first dorm rooms and roommates. I had reached out to many of our former college friends, gathering a plethora of images documenting our adventures throughout those formative years. Among them were pictures of Joyce with her friends during times when we weren't dating, a revelation that caught her off guard. Some shots, depicting her cozying up to other guys, caused her to lower her head in embarrassment. Though I kept my focus on the screen, I couldn't help but observe her reaction from the corner of my eye. The college of memories from each year culminated in our graduation, capturing us beaming in our caps and gowns, surrounded by loved ones. The sight of those joyous moments brought a nostalgic smile to Joyce's face once again. As the slideshow reached its culmination with a picture of our graduation celebration, Joyce turned to me, her voice tinged with curiosity. "Where are the pictures of our engagement you proposed to me during finals week?" I wordlessly gestured toward the screen in response. Her attention returned to the display as the chapter transitioned to Remember When? We became betrothed. A friend had captured the moment I knelt before Joyce, asking her to marry me during a study break in our final week of school. The subsequent image depicted Joyce jubilantly knocking me over, clearly accepting my proposal. Though I maintained my gaze ahead, I couldn't help but notice Joyce wiping away a tear, moved by the tender recollection. Her grip on my hand tightened, and she turned to me with a heartfelt declaration. "I love you, Nick. This is wonderful. Thank you." I simply nodded, returning my focus to the unfolding memories on the screen. The slideshow continued with snapshots from our year of engagement. Though we shared countless experiences during that time, we had made a solemn vow to wait until our wedding night to consummate our physical love. Joyce remained steadfast in her commitment, honoring the pledge she had made during our high school years in the youth group at our church. Notably absent from the presentation was any documentation of my bachelor party. A single slide humorously noted, Nick's bachelor party was a bit tame. No strippers, no wild drinking, and wrapped up by midnight. In those days before camera-equipped smartphones, neither my friends nor family were keen on capturing the event, resulting in a lack of potentially embarrassing photos from that uneventful night. However, I had equipped a few of Joyce's friends with disposable cameras for her bachelorette party. Whether they disclosed the source of the cameras to Joyce remained a mystery. At the time, I hadn't developed the photos, intending to save them for an anniversary celebration. Rediscovering them alongside the Polaroids prompted me to finally develop the film. Among the images were shots of Joyce donning a playful fake veil, a far cry from the one she would wear for me just a week later. I was aware of the presence of male strippers at Joyce's bachelorette party, as she had eagerly recounted their antics to me the following day. Among the developed photos were snapshots of her receiving lap dances from a couple of them, her expression betraying a level of desire I had rarely witnessed throughout our long relationship. When she turned to me with concern, questioning whether our families should see these particular images, I responded directly. Why? Are you ashamed of how much you enjoyed their attention? I think even the kids found it amusing when we reviewed these photos for the slideshow. The kids have seen these. Joyce's embarrassment was palpable as she realized the extent of her exposure. Oh my God, I am so embarrassed. Her cheeks flushed as she momentarily buried her face in her hands, only to look up and discover a shot of herself on her knees with a drink in hand. Oh no, not a picture of me falling down drunk. Please, can't you remove this one? I shook my head regretfully. The soundtrack was added after selecting the slides. Changing it now would be too time-consuming. The slideshow continued, transitioning to the next chapter of our life together. Remember when we pledged our troth flashed onto the screen. A plethora of images depicted us together, some of Joyce alone and others with her bridal party. I had discreetly included a few shots of the groomsmen, though I kept my ulterior motive to myself. Among the snapshots were traditional moments like the cake-cutting ceremony, where Joyce playfully smeared cake on my face, a gesture I accepted with good humor, allowing the frosting to linger for a while. Other pictures captured me conversing with family members, my brow still adorned with traces of white frosting. At our wedding reception, we had placed disposable cameras on the tables, collecting them afterward to develop the photos once we returned from our honeymoon. While reviewing them briefly upon our return, I hadn't paid much attention. However, revisiting them for our anniversary celebration, I noticed something that had previously escaped my notice. Among the images were a couple of shots of Joyce dancing intimately with my best man and one of my groomsmen. Their closeness seemed to surpass mere dancing, and Joyce audibly gasped upon seeing them included in the slideshow. Keeping my focus on the screen, I remained silent as the presentation moved to the next slide, though I felt Joyce's gaze on my profile, her expression filled with consternation. That section concluded with a glimpse into our honeymoon, capturing our youthful love on the beach. I recalled asking strangers to snap pictures of us as we stood arm in arm in the surf, even including one of Joyce topless, albeit from the rear, wearing only her micro bikini bottoms. Joyce's discomfort at my choice of photos resurfaced, though she said nothing. The slideshow progressed to a chapter on her pregnancies, with numerous pictures documenting each of her 3 pregnancies, followed by snapshots of our children growing up, interspersed with festive Christmas celebrations and family vacations until reaching the conclusion. The final slides simply read, "Remember when." I paused the slideshow. This marks the end of the celebration slideshow. The following slides are for you and me alone. I don't believe anyone else needs to see them, but I'll leave the decision to include them up to you. Joyce wore a puzzled expression as she looked at the screen. Ignoring her, I pointed back at it and hit play again. The next title slide read, "Remember when." On our wedding night, you told me that I was your first, and I told you that you were my only. The first image following the title slide was one of the Polaroids, a revealing shot of Joyce in the nude, accompanied by another man. Her immediate reaction was to reach for the remote, her voice trembling with anger. "Where did you get this? Why are you trying to publicly embarrass me?" I maintained a firm grip on the remote, deliberately keeping it out of her reach, and kept my eyes fixed on the screen. These must be your little mementos, reminders of when you betrayed our trust. While I honored our agreement to wait until marriage, you were busy breaking it. The subsequent slide confirmed my accusations, capturing my wife in the act of infidelity. As her agitation grew, she demanded, "Shut it off. Now, shut it off. I demand you shut it off now." She attempted to wrestle the remote from my grasp, but I held firm. The next image displayed her on her knees, adorned with the fake veil from her bachelorette party, engaging in explicit activities with a stripper. I couldn't resist the urge to comment, "Remember when you asked me not to show you falling down drunk at your bachelorette party? Turns out you weren't drunk. You were preparing to cheat on me with a stripper." The subsequent slide depicted the scene in even more vivid detail. Oh, and with other strippers too. Subsequent slides revealed Joyce being subjected to various acts by the strippers and her friends, all while they cheered her on in the background. Imagine my surprise when I had those pictures developed for our silver anniversary celebration. I only wish I had seen them sooner. It certainly sheds light on why some of your closest friends distanced themselves from you. They remained loyal, keeping your secrets, but evidently they didn't condone your actions, hence the silent abandonment. Tears welled in her eyes, and she made a motion to leave. "No, you don't," I interjected firmly. "You promised to sit through this entire presentation. You don't get to walk away. You don't get to turn away. You do everything in your power to halt the slideshow, and if you do, it will be automatically sent to everyone in your contact list. It's ready to go, loaded and waiting. So you sit there and try to explain why you've been unfaithful to me throughout our entire relationship." She attempted to protest through her tears, but I simply pointed at the screen. I anticipated she might claim that these transgressions occurred before our wedding, suggesting they didn't count since she hadn't made her vows yet. However, the next slides swiftly dispelled that notion. At our wedding reception, friends caught her with my best man, Gareth Bennett, and they danced together in a not-so-friendly embrace. Judging by some of the pictures on her phone, that wasn't their only contact. In the pictures, I saw them engaging in debauchery years after she and I were married. Then came pictures of Eric Klump, one of my fiancés, who was doing essentially the same thing. A month ago, she had selfies and emailed pictures of other encounters with Eric. That section concluded with a glimpse into our honeymoon, capturing our youthful love on the beach. I recalled asking strangers to snap pictures of us as we stood arm in arm in the surf, even including one of Joyce topless, albeit from the rear, wearing only her micro bikini bottoms. Joyce's discomfort at my choice of photos resurfaced, though she said nothing. The slideshow progressed to a chapter on her pregnancies, with numerous pictures documenting each of her 3 pregnancies, followed by snapshots of our children growing up, interspersed with festive Christmas celebrations and family vacations until reaching the conclusion. The final slides simply read, "Remember when." I paused the slideshow. This marks the end of the celebration slideshow. The following slides are for you and me alone. I don't believe anyone else needs to see them, but I'll leave the decision to include them up to you. Joyce wore a puzzled expression as she looked at the screen. Ignoring her, I pointed back at it and hit play again. The next title slide read, "Remember when. On our wedding night, you told me that I was your first and I told you that you were my only." The first image following the title slide was one of the Polaroids, a revealing shot of Joyce in the nude, accompanied by another man. Her immediate reaction was to reach for the remote, her voice trembling with anger. "Where did you get this? Why are you trying to publicly embarrass me?" I maintained a firm grip on the remote, deliberately keeping it out of her reach, and kept my eyes fixed on the screen. These must be your little mementos, reminders of when you betrayed our trust. While I honored our agreement to wait until marriage, you were busy breaking it. The subsequent slide confirmed my accusations, capturing my wife in the act of infidelity. As her agitation grew, she demanded, "Shut it off. Now, shut it off. I demand you shut it off now." She attempted to wrestle the remote from my grasp, but I held firm. The next image displayed her on her knees, adorned with the fake veil from her bachelorette party, engaging in explicit activities with a stripper. I couldn't resist the urge to comment, "Remember when you asked me not to show you falling down drunk at your bachelorette party? Turns out you weren't drunk. You were preparing to cheat on me with a stripper." The subsequent slide depicted the scene in even more vivid detail. Oh, and with other strippers too. Subsequent slides revealed Joyce being subjected to various acts by the strippers and her friends, all while they cheered her on in the background. Imagine my surprise when I had those pictures developed for our silver anniversary celebration. I only wish I had seen them sooner. It certainly sheds light on why some of your closest friends distanced themselves from you. They remained loyal, keeping your secrets, but evidently they didn't condone your actions, hence the silent abandonment. Tears welled in her eyes, and she made a motion to leave. "No, you don't," I interjected firmly. You promised to sit through this entire presentation. You don't get to walk away. You don't get to turn away. You do everything in your power to halt the slideshow, and if you do, it will be automatically sent to everyone in your contact list. It's ready to go, loaded and waiting. So you sit there and try to explain why you've been unfaithful to me throughout our entire relationship. She attempted to protest through her tears, but I simply pointed at the screen. I anticipated she might claim that these transgressions occurred before our wedding, suggesting they didn't count since she hadn't made her vows yet. However, the next slides swiftly dispelled that notion. At our wedding reception, friends caught her with my best man, Gareth Bennett, and they danced together in a not-so-friendly embrace. Judging by some of the pictures on her phone, that wasn't their only contact. In the pictures, I saw them engaging in debauchery years after she and I were married. Then came pictures of Eric Klump, one of my fiancés, who was doing essentially the same thing. A month ago, she had selfies and emailed pictures of other encounters with Eric. She sat there, defeated, as the other images I had stored in the cloud continued to scroll by. Some depicted her with coworkers, while a few showed her interacting with her bosses over the years. Finally, the last chapter emerged. Remember when we were married? I paused the display, allowing her a moment to collect herself. It seemed that confronting her infidelities had thrown her off balance, a fact that struck me as ironic, considering she had been adept at deceiving me all this time. I couldn't help but probe. Is this why you've always discouraged me from engaging with your coworkers or attending any work functions? Were you afraid someone would spill the beans? She simply shrugged in response. I waited, and eventually she spoke up about the slide. Didn't we already cover when we got married? Pressing enter to advance to the final slide, I revealed a clip art drawing depicting a piece of paper with the words "dissolution of marriage" at the top. The question wasn't about when we got married, but whether you remembered what being married meant. Handing her a standard manila envelope, I explained, if you prefer, a process server will deliver a formal copy to you at work tomorrow. If this suffices, there won't be any drama at your workplace. You can inform your paramours that from now on, you're free to do as you please, whenever and wherever. Unsurprisingly, her response was predictable. I don't want a divorce. My response had been carefully crafted over 6 months of contemplation. Of course not. You want me to be the one who foots the bill for this house, maintains the yard, cleans the pool, and does the grocery shopping, all while you're too preoccupied with your own affairs to bother with such mundane tasks. Not to mention, you feel no obligation to fulfill the basic duties of a spouse, denying me even a glimpse of your body or any semblance of physical affection for months now. It's no wonder you're opposed to divorce. It's unfortunate, but inevitable. She shook her head in denial, prompting a response I had tried to suppress. I have to wonder, are the children even mine? Scratch that. I neither want nor need to know. I've been there for every sniffle, sneeze, and good or bad day, so I am their father. However, I did inform them of what I intended to reveal to you tonight, but I did not involve them in witnessing the evidence of your betrayal. That remains between you and me. Handing her the remote, I continued, do as you wish with the presentation. There's only one other copy, safely in the possession of my attorney, in case you choose to contest the divorce. Couples counseling is out of the question. The division of assets will be as equitable as possible, unless you've been hiding bank accounts. If you have, I couldn't care less. Clearly struggling to keep up, she stammered, have you turned the kids against me? It was evident she was lagging far behind in the conversation. I had hoped to wrap up this ordeal swiftly, but it seemed the assertive businesswoman was absent tonight. No, if they pick sides, that's on you. I simply informed them about our divorce and the fact that you haven't been faithful throughout our relationship, which I've only recently discovered. I've actually canceled all plans for our silver anniversary celebration. Honestly, I never even arranged any of the events we discussed. I just said I did. I've explained everything to my parents, and they're discreetly informing our family on my side. As for your relatives, you can tell them whatever you like. I have no intention of interacting with them anymore. I love you and don't want a divorce, she pleaded once more. God, you sound like a broken record, I retorted. Sure, you love me, yet you not only cheated on me at every opportunity, but you also kept evidence of it. That doesn't sound like love to me. Did you keep any other souvenirs from your affairs? She shook her head vehemently. No, just the pictures. I never intended for you to see even the innocent ones from my bachelorette party. Honestly, I had forgotten most of them even existed, let alone that they were somewhere you might find them. Attempting another approach, she begged, please forgive me. I'll be the wife you want. No more affairs. I'll cut back at work and be there for you whenever you need me. I can't believe it's been so long since we made love. I've always been happy and satisfied with you in bed. Yeah, and that's why you've avoided touching me for so long, right? To make our lovemaking even more special. Sorry, but that's not going to cut it. As she moved as if to stand, tears smudging her carefully applied makeup meant for everyone but me, I stepped back out of her reach and raised my hands to ward her off. Looking around the room, I realized it was time to depart, ensuring I hadn't overlooked anything important. Mentally shrugging, I concluded that anything left behind was merely an object devoid of sentimental significance and easily replaceable. It was time to make my exit. Considering how rarely you're here, except to use this place as a temporary crash pad, you might not have noticed anything missing. However, you should know that everything I wanted to keep has already been moved to my new place. I hesitate to call it a home since my heart feels dead, but it's somewhere to hang my hat. Feel free to keep whatever belongings you wish. Enclosed in the packet is a power of attorney for the house. Keep it, sell it, burn it down, whatever suits you. Perhaps the kids will want to visit. Since Jacob and Jerome are still in college, they might appreciate a familiar space during holidays and semester breaks. I didn't inquire about their plans, so they didn't say. You can have the wedding album and all the photos featuring you. Since I spent considerable time digitizing every photo, I've deleted any I didn't want from my flash drives, which are safely packed. Gesturing towards a stack of flash drives on the end table, I continued, those are your copies. Additionally, I've left all the original photos in the attic and online for you to manage as you see fit, including those documenting your encounters with your lovers. I haven't destroyed anything. She wore a bewildered expression, seemingly at a loss for words. Undeterred, I pressed on. You know, I briefly entertained thoughts of seeking retribution against your lovers, but ultimately decided I have no desire to reside in a prison cell. So please convey to Gareth, Eric, or any other acquaintances of yours, I'm sure I could identify them, that they're dead to me, just like my marriage. If they happen to spot me anywhere, they should promptly walk the other way, as I might be tempted to experiment with prison attire. She nodded, finally finding her voice. Where are you moving to? Let's just say it's somewhere else. I've resigned from my job and accepted a position quite a distance away from here. The kids know where I'm going, but they're under strict instructions never to disclose my new contact information or location to you. I'm sure you'll be able to track me down if you really want to, but frankly, I don't see why you would. And there you have it, folks. It's probably like most endings of marriages, no fireworks, no dramatic explosion, just a sense of sadness that one partner couldn't manage something as simple as fidelity. As for me, personally, I'll be okay. Sure, it stings to know that Joyce had so little regard for me and our marriage that she sought out multiple affairs throughout our time together. Perhaps it's a sign of the times, where promises hold little weight and personal desires trump everything else, regardless of who gets hurt in the process. As I walked out of the house for the last time, I took stock of my life once more. Sure, I'll likely feel lonely for a while. I'll miss the intimacy of a close relationship, being able to share achievements, setbacks, frustrations, victories, and all the other facets of a rich and fulfilling life. But at just under 50, with most of my hair intact and a lack of physical limitations, I have hope that I'll regain my sense of humor and faith in humanity as I recover from this loss. Is there another great love waiting for me in the future? Who knows, but I won't let the absence of it hold me back. The town I'm headed to now is surrounded by opportunities for outdoor activities. Maybe I'll invest in a road bike, like a Harley or a large Honda, and spend my days off touring around. I've never done a poker run, but my friends who ride have spoken highly of the experience. Perhaps I'll focus on improving my fitness and venture into mountain biking in the hills surrounding the valley where the town is nestled. Regardless of where I may roam, there will always be events, museums, parades, circuses, sports teams, and a plethora of other activities to partake in and explore. As for photography, I'm not sure if I'll be inclined to capture many moments on camera. Some memories are best preserved within the recesses of the mind, rather than in physical form. I aim to keep in mind that it's the journey itself, not the destination, that constitutes the true adventure of life. And as for Joyce's fate, frankly, I don't know and I couldn't care less. Like most unfaithful partners, she'll likely find someone else to deceive. I just hope that whoever she ends up with either embraces her promiscuity or keeps her on a tight leash. I've had many months to come to terms with my anger and disappointment, so the final confrontation was more about asserting to her that I'm no longer oblivious and that I've regained some semblance of self-respect by confronting her and making it clear that her hidden life is no longer a source of fascination in those fleeting moments of quiet contemplation. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you liked it, please like it and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.